Hi everyone, welcome back to my lab and today's video, which is going to be my review of the brand new Natasha Denona Mini Gold Palette. If you're not new to my channel, you know I purchase a lot of Natasha Denona palettes. I dare say I have absolutely every single eyeshadow palette she has ever made. In terms of the larger ones, I don't own all the minis or all the 5-pan palettes, but her larger palettes, I own them all. I'm a big fan of the brand, and when I saw this color story, I was like, yes, I need that. The gold palette also happens to be my favorite of her palettes at the moment, and so I knew I was going to have to add this to my collection. So before I get into a review and how I created this eye look, swatches, and all that good stuff, if you're new to my channel, I'm Yori. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I hope you'll enjoy it and consider joining my makeup family for new videos 3 times a week, every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday at 9 a.m. Central. Now let's get into this review. I purchased my palette from Sephora for $25 on the day that it became available. I had been eyeing this palette on Instagram when it was teased, and I was so thrilled to hear that it was mostly new shades, although I did notice in the comment section that some people were saying that one was a repeat shade, but I compared the shades in this palette to the shades in the original gold palette and I didn't find any duplicates, so maybe it's in a different palette that she has an existing shade. In any case, I'm really appreciating the attention to detail that she's taking when she ships out her palette. I have to admit, Sephora hasn't been the best at protecting their shipments, and so she is enclosing her eyeshadow palettes inside another carton, which it is additional packaging, but her eyeshadow sometimes can be really fragile, and so that definitely prevents the shadows breaking in transit. So I appreciate that, and I recycle the material. So this is what your outer packaging looks like. It has a soft matte feel to it. It's labeled the Natasha Denona Mini Gold Palette. I paid $25. You do get 0.8 grams per shade. The eyeshadows are cruelty-free, made in Italy, and you have a 24-month shelf life. And for the first time ever, I feel I'm going to pan this, if that gives you any indication on how I'm feeling about the eyeshadow palette itself. So this is what the palette looks like, her typical mini eyeshadow palette. It's very, very small. The cover lifts up like this and your shades are inside. You have a variety of finishes in this eyeshadow palette. She has codes that she uses to indicate what the formula is for each eyeshadow, and I'm seeing that she has creamy powders, which are the 2 shades that we would call matte shadows. So those are creamy powders. And then she has a metallic, which is this gold shade in the center, as well as a duochrome, which is this Anthea shade in the back. Then she has this one, which is designated P, and you know, I can't think what that stands for, the P. It's definitely a metallic shade. It's kind of like a creamy powder with a shimmer in it, and you'll see it in the swatches. So if you know what the P designation stands for, I would love to know. Hopefully in looking at those swatches, you'll see how beautifully the eyeshadows swatch. They swatch amazingly well. I do have to mention that the original shade Lodge definitely applies a little bit darker than it would appear in the pan. So if you have a lighter skin tone, I would definitely go in with a light hand. And if you have a deeper skin tone than myself, I feel that these shades would work really well on you. I am going to show you how I created this eye look, which I absolutely love. I live for camo kind of vibes, and this palette is all about the camo that I even dressed the part for it, and I love the look that I came up with. I used every shade in the palette, and the mattes blend absolutely beautiful. They're very, very cohesive color tones, so they blend into each other very well. I love the way this gold shade applies. It's a little bit flaky, so you want to be careful if you've already done your face makeup. When I went in with my finger, you'll see that I get a tiny little bit of fallout, but it also picks up very well on a dry brush. I didn't dampen my brush for today's application because I always like to give you a good idea of how the palette performs as is without additional help. I didn't use glitter glue or anything like that, which typically I would in my day-to-day application just because I have hooded eyes, and also my eyelids tend to be like a little bit oily or sweaty, which is really strange, and sometimes my eyeshadows crease, but I haven't had that problem with her palette. Other than that center, it's called Dior shade. Other than that one, I didn't have any problems with the other ones. This one, it has a bit of a satin finish, I would say, with tiny micro shimmers in the shadow, but I was able to use it underneath my lower lower lash line and it applied very, very well. I also used it to emphasize my lash line at the top to just sort of thicken my eyelashes a little bit since I'm not wearing any false lashes today. So let's go ahead and cut to the clips of how I applied the eyeshadow, and I will be back with my final thoughts at the end. This little palette gives me such camo vibes that I decided to dress the part, and I want to do a camo inspired look. I'm not sure I'm going to use all the shades, but just looking at them, I can see that you can get a lot of different looks with this tiny little palette. You can get some more daytime appropriate looks if you focus on those lighter shades, of course, but if you incorporate some of these darker shadows, you can get a really beautiful evening look as well. The Natasha Denona Gold palette, I have to say, is my absolute favorite of all her palettes, and I was really excited when she launched this one and that there was only one repeat shade in the palette and the others are brand new. I'm going to start with the shade Lodge, and I'm just going to use that as a transition, and I'm using a Rephr 01 brush. I picked up this little brush set that they were advertising on their website. I think I paid like $48, but then they send you a coupon for that same amount of money that you can use on their website later. And I guess it's just a way of guaranteeing that they're going to get the feedback that they're looking for on the brushes rather than just sending them out to people who may not provide feedback. So I'm really excited to try out this little set. I just realized I started doing my bad eye. I have gotten into the habit of doing my left eye when I'm doing eyeshadow palette demos, and today I just started with this one. When I'm doing my makeup normally, I will start with this eye because I know that if I can't get it to work, I'm just abandoning mission and I'm not wearing eyeshadow that day. So hopefully it goes well because I'm really excited for this little palette. I'm not doing anything too complicated. So looking at the shade in the pan, I think that it actually looks a little bit darker on my eye. It could be just me, but I do feel that it's a little bit darker. I'm gonna run that along the lower lash line as well, just to give me something to blend other shadows into. Now, I think I'm going to go into this olive green shade. That one is called, might be Bia, this one right here, and I'm gonna use the same brush. So I'm just laying that Rephr 01 brush kind of on its side and depositing the color on the outer corner. And I'm also going to run that along the lower lash line, just on the outer third of my eye, and connect it to the top. I'm so tempted to go full on smoky and apply this metallic olive shade on my eyes. This one is Anthea, but I also want to try that gold as well. When I swatch the gold, it's swatched so beautifully. I'm going to try and go for the gold. I'm going to use a Rephr 02 brush, which was also from that little set. Oh my goodness. I just used the shadow directly from the pan, and this is the payoff I'm getting. I'm hoping the camera is going to do it justice. It looks so pretty. So I'm just applying that to the inner third of my eye, and using the other side of the brush, I'm going to go ahead and apply that green shade. I have to. And I'm just going to use this on the center and towards the outer edge to blend into the green shade. This is so pretty. I really love her metallic eyeshadow formula, and these colors are just so fall. I'm really liking it. I do want to see if I can get a tiny little bit more intensity with the gold. It's so hard for me to work with my fingertips, but just want to see how it'll look. Looks really molten on my fingers, if you can see that. So I'm gonna try to apply this just over. Wow. Very nice. I just wanted to intensify it just a tiny bit. Wow, that looks so good. These colors work really well together. We may as well finish it off, and I'm gonna go ahead and use the dark sepia shade, and I'm using the Rephr 03 brush, and I'm just gonna run that on my lower lash line to give me a little bit of a smoky look. I'm also going to run that along my upper lash line just to give me some definition on the upper lashes. And this is a Rephr 03 brush. I wiped off my original brush on a tissue, and I'm just going to diffuse the edges. I didn't add any product. I really like this little palette. I love the colors. I love how tiny it is and how travel friendly. I'm going to finish my other eye off camera, and I'm really loving this little palette. I even did my bad eye on camera and I had absolutely no issues. I'm really liking the way it looks. I'm gonna finish my other eye off camera, and I used every shade. Every shade performed really well, as I would expect from Natasha Denona, and I'm gonna finish it. I'll let you know what the finishing touches are. I will be right back. Before I finish my makeup, I just wanted to come on here and show you what the eyeshadow is looking like. It was so easy to recreate the look on the other eye once I had it on this eye. I worked so quickly, and I did get a little bit of fallout, especially when I was working with my hands with that gold shade, but you can of course get around that by doing your eyes first or putting down a little bit of powder. But overall, I'm just thrilled with the look. I think that this is just one of those looks that I'm gonna apply mascara and I'm gonna call it done because it looks so good. I'm really excited about it. So here's your finished look. As I mentioned, I just applied mascara. I'm using the Wonder Beauty Unlashed Mascara on the upper lash line and my MAC Giga Black Lash Mascara on the lower lash line. My lip combo is the Jouer. This is called an Essential Lip Enhancer, I think. Yeah, Essential Lip Enhancer Shine Balm in the shade Amaryllis over Rimmel London's 1000 Kisses Stay On Lip Contouring Pencil in the shade number 49 Natural. You can of course apply falsies if you like for a little added drama, but I think the look just is really nice just as is, and I'm feeling all the fall vibes. I'm gonna go ahead, fix my hair, and come back with my final thoughts on the palette. I hope you enjoyed seeing that demo. The look was absolutely so simple to create, and I used every single shade. Every single shade performed as I would expect from her brand and her price point. Even though this eyeshadow palette is $25, it's very, very small. You're not getting a whole lot of product, and it's listed as limited edition, and I love it so much that concerns me. I want to have this palette around in my collection for a good long time. I'm in love with the color story. I think it's so great for fall, but also has like a grungy vibe to it. I'm trying to get out of the habit of getting backups because we don't need backups. There's so many makeup products releasing at all times, but this one is listed limited edition, and I love it so much as I love the original gold palette. If you want to take a look at the color stories, I think I forgot to do that in the beginning. Here she is next to her mama, and as you can see, the larger palette has greens, but it's more like teal shades, and I love them. They're absolutely great. I love this palette. As I mentioned, it's my favorite of her larger palettes, and I think that the mini complements it so well because you do have those mustardy brown tones, and in addition, you have the safari green kind of palette. Come to think of it, this might be a great complement to the safari palette as well, since that one has a lot of those tones also. Now, usually in my reviews, I try to tell you how I feel about the eyeshadow palette, whether I like it or not, whether I think it's worth the money, and you know this one is something special, both in color story and in formula. I really highly recommend this one. If the color story speaks to you, I would definitely say pick it up just in case it is limited edition and it disappears. I was looking it up on Sephora just to get an idea of the finishes to see if I could figure out what that P stands for, and right now it has a perfect 5-star rating. Not too many reviews since it is a new product, but this is something special. That's everything that I had for this video. If you have any questions that I didn't answer in my review, if there was something I overlooked, please leave those in the comment section down below. And if you picked up the palette, I would love to know what your experience is and if you're as happy with the palette as I am, because I am absolutely thrilled with the palette. I think it's gorgeous. And if you picked it up, I hope you're loving it just as much. Thank you always for joining me for my little videos. I do enjoy your company and hearing your thoughts in the comment section. I hope you're doing amazingly well today. I hope you're having a great week so far, and I look forward to seeing you again very, very soon on my next one. Bye-bye.